This is video number 1 for the subject of capacity. And like I stated in the first video, I think that the first place that we have to look at in creating capacity is our prayer life and the way that we are praying. Because it's one thing to pray for breakthrough for something, get your prayer list out, you pray for your lost family members, you do those things. Those are important, those are great. But when it comes to our personal, intimate, communing life with the Lord, I find for me, one of the greatest ways to expand capacity for me is to actually find scriptures that describe the bigness of the Lord. And then from that place, I close my eyes and I pray through those things and I meditate through those things. And as I do those, it helps me ascend above the fleshly realm of life circumstances, and it gets me locked on the things of the Lord. In Colossians 3:1-2, it says, "Set your eyes on things above, where Christ dwells." We also know in Job 42 verse 5, Job just got done having 4 chapters of crazy encounter with the Lord. Job went through the worst life trial probably a human could go through. And he finds himself in a place of complaining, ready to be done with all of this. And in Job 38, the Lord shows up in a tornado. Literally, it says, out of the whirlwind, the Lord spoke. And for 4 chapters, the Lord just blows up his world about how big he is. Job, where were you when I commanded the morning? Have you ever? And have you ever? Where were you, Job? Were you there when I? And he blows Job's mind. And in Job 42, verse 5, Job says, "I had heard about you with my ears, but now my eyes have seen." And it says that he actually, in a couple chapters before that, his response after seeing how big the Lord was is he actually closed his mouth and shut up. And so often the swirls of life can be silenced by our meditating gaze in the way that we pray. In Ephesians chapter 1, what is Paul's prayer for the church in that time? He says, "I pray for you," in Ephesians 1:17-19, he says, "I pray for you that you would have the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of God. That the eyes of your understanding would be enlightened, and that you would know what is the hope of his calling and the riches of the glorious inheritance in the saints." So Paul's prayer for Ephesus was that they would have wisdom and revelation that is divine from heaven in the knowledge of God, and that their eyes would be opened. And these are the realities that we want to give ourselves to in prayer. And I find that as I let these things become the things that I gaze upon in my prayer life, I can feel my capacity and excitement for the Lord expanding. We know in Revelation chapter 1, another great example like Job, where John is on the island of Patmos, has this significant encounter, and he sees a man with eyes like a flame of fire, with feet like fine brass. Out of his mouth came a double-edged sword, and it just goes on and on and on. And it says that his countenance was like the sun shining in its strength. And John falls on his face like a dead man. And so I believe that one of our greatest ways to create capacity is to meditate on the bigness of who God is, because this is the one that we're communing with. And I'm telling you that you change your prayer life into praying the Bible and praying and meditating on the things of the Lord and who he is and his bigness. You will watch your capacity of who this man is expand, and the Lord will start to penetrate your heart with light and peace and truth. So I challenge you to change your prayer life just a little bit so that you are looking up instead of looking here. So I hope that blesses you and challenges you.